Treasure Island by Robert Louis Stevenson. Chapter 21. The Attack. As soon as Silver disappeared, the captain, who had been closely watching him, turned towards the interior of the house, found not a man of us at his post but Gray. It was the first time we ever seen him angry. "Quarters!" he roared. Then we all slunk back to our places. "Gray," he said, "I'll put your name in the log. You've stood by your duty like a seaman. Mr. Tralloway, I'm surprised at you, sir. Doctor, I thought you had worn the king's coat. If that was better, you served at Fontenoy, sir. You have it better than your berth." The doctor's watch were all back at their loopholes. The rest were busy loading their spare muskets. Every one with a red face. You may be certain that within a flea of his ear, the saying is. The captain looked me on the while in silence. Then he spoke. "My lads, I've given Silver a broadside. I pitched in red hot on purpose. Before the hour's out, he had, as he said, we shall be boarded. We're outnumbered. I don't needn't tell you that, but we fight in shelter. And a minute ago I shouldn't have said we fought with discipline. In no manner of doubt that we can drub them if you choose." And then we saw rounds. Then he went the rounds, and as you saw, as he said, and all was clear. Only the two short sides of the house, east and west, were there, only two loopholes. On the south side where the porch was, two again; on the north side, five. There was a round score of muskets for 7 of us. The firewood had been built into 4 piles, tables, you might say, one about the middle of each side, and on each of these tables some ammunition of the 4 loaded muskets were laid ready to the hand of the defenders. In the middle the cutlasses laid range. "Toss out the fire," said the captain. "The chill is past, and we mustn't have smoke in our eyes." The iron fire basket was carried bodily out by Mr. Trelawney, and the embers smothered among sand. "Hawkins hasn't had his breakfast. Hawkins, help yourself, and back to your post to eat it," continued Captain Smollett. "Lively, now, my lad. You'll want it before you've done. Hunter, serve out a round of brandies to all hands." And while this was going on, the captain completed, in his own mind, the plan of the defence. "Doctor, you will take the door," he resumed. "See and don't expose yourself. Keep within the fire through the porch. Hunter, take the east side. Joyce, you stand by the west. My man Trelawney, you are the best shot. You and Gray will take the north side. And with the 5 loopholes, it's their danger. The danger is, if they can get up to it, the fire is upon us through our own ports. Things will begin to look dirty. Hawkins, neither you nor I are much account at shooting. We'll stand by to load and bear a hand." As the captain had said, the chill was past, and as soon as the sun had climbed above our girdle of trees, it fell with all the force upon the clearing, and drank up the vapours at a draught. Soon the sand was baking, and the resin melting in the logs of the blockhouse. The jackets and coats flung aside, shirts thrown open at the neck, and rolled up to the shoulders. We stood there, each to his post, in a fever of heat and anxiety. An hour passed. "Hang them!" said the captain. "This is as dull as the doldrums. Gray, whistle for a wind." And just at that moment came the first news of the attack. "If you please, sir," said Joyce, "if I see anyone, am I to fire?" "I told you so!" cried the captain. "Thank you, sir," returned Joyce, with the same quiet civility. Nothing followed for a time, but the remark had set us all on alert. Straining ears and eyes, the musketeers, with their pieces balanced in their hands. The captain's out in the middle of the blockhouse, with his mouth very tight and a frown on his face. So for some seconds passed, till suddenly Joyce whipped up his musket and fired. The report had scarcely died away ere in the repeat, and repeated from without in a scattering volley. Shot beside shot, like a string of geese. From every side of the enclosed, several bullets struck the log-house, but not one entered, and as the smoke cleared away and vanished, the stockade in the wood around it looked as quiet and empty as before. Not a bogue waved, not the gleam of the musket barrel betrayed the presence of our foes. "Did you hit your man?" asked the captain. "No, sir," replied Joyce. "I believe not, sir. Next best thing is to tell the truth," muttered Captain Smollett. "Load his gun, Hawkins. How many should you say there were on your side, Doctor?" "I know precisely," said Dr. Livesey. "Three shots fired on this side, and I saw three flashes, two close together, one farther to the ass." "Three?" repeated the captain. "And about how many on yours, Mr. Trelawney?" But this was not so easily answered. There had come many from the north, 7 by the squire's computation, 8 or 9 according to Gray, and from the east and west, where only a single shot had been fired. It was plain, therefore, that the attack would develop from the north, and that on the other three sides they were only to be annoyed by a show of hostilities. But Captain Smollett made no change in his arrangement, and if the mutineers succeeded in crossing the stockade, he argued, they would take possession of any unprotected loophole, and shoot us down like rats from our own stronghold. Nor had we had much time left to us for thought. Suddenly, with a loud huzzah, a little cloud of pirates leaped from the woods on the north side, and ran straight for the stockade. And at the moment the fire once more opened from the woods, and a rifle ball sang through the doorway, and knocked Doctor's musket to bits. The boarders swarmed over the fence like monkeys. Squire and Gray fired again and yet again. 3 men fell, one forwards in the enclosure, 2 back on the outside. But one of these one was evidently more frightened than hurt, for he was on his feet again in a crack and disappearing among the trees. 2 had bit the dust, 1 had fled, 4 made good their footings inside our defences, while from the shelter of the wood 8 or 7 men, each evidently supplied with several muskets, kept up a hot though useless fire on the log house. The 4 who had boarded made straight for them for the building, shouting as they ran, and the men among the trees shouted back to encourage them. And several shots were fired, but such was a hurry of the marksmen that not one appeared to have taken effect. In a moment the 4 pirates had swarmed up the mound and were upon us. The head of Job Anderson, the boatswain, appeared at the middle loophole. "At him! All hands!" he roared in a voice of thunder. At the same moment another pirate grasped Hunter's musket by the muzzle, wrenched it from his hands, plucked it through the loophole, and with one stunning blow laid the poor fellow senseless on the floor. Meanwhile a third, running in unharmed all round the house, appeared suddenly in the doorway, and fell with his cutlass on the doctor. One position was utterly reversed. At the moment, since we were firing under cover at an exposed enemy, now it was we who lay under cover, and could not return a blow. The log house was full of smoke, and we owed our comparative safety. Cries and confusion, the flashes and reports of pistol shots, came one loud groan, rang my ears. Out, lads, out and fight 'em open, in the cutlasses!" cried the captain. I snatched a cutlass from the pile, and gave someone, at the same time snatching another, gave me a cut across the knuckle, which I heartily felt. I dashed out the door into the clear sunlight. Someone was close behind, and I knew not. Right in front, the doctor was pursuing his assailant down the hill, and sent him sprawling on his back, with a great slash across the face. "Round the house, lads, round the house!" cried the captain, and even hurly-burly I received a change in his voice. I mechanically obeyed, turned eastwards, with my cutlass raised, and ran around one corner of the house. The next moment I was face to face with Anderson. He roared aloud, and his hanger went up above his head, flashing in the sunlight. I had not time to be afraid, but as the blow still hung impending, leaped in a trice upon one side, missing my foot in the soft sand, rolled headlong down the slope. When I had first sailed from the door, the other mutineers had already been swarming up the palisade to make an end of us. One man in a red nightcap, with his cutlass in his mouth, had even got upon the top and thrown a leg across, while so short had been the interval when I found my feet again was all in the same posture. The fellow with the red nightcap, still halfway over, another was still showing his head above the top of the stockade. And yet, in this breath of time, the fight was over, and the victory was ours. Gray, followed close behind me, had cut down the big boatswain ere he had time to recover from his lost blow, and another had been shot at the loophole in the very last of firing into the house. Now he lay in agony, and the pistol was still smoking in his hand. A third, as I had seen, the doctor disposed at once more of a blow. Of the four who had sailed the palisade, one remained unaccounted for, and he, having let his cutlass on the field, was now clambering out again with the fear of death upon him. "Fire! Fire from the house!" cried the doctor, "and you lads, back into cover!" But his words were unheeded. No shot was fired, and the last boarder made his good escape, and disappeared with the rest into the wood. In this 3 seconds nothing remained of the attacking party but 5 men who had fallen, 4 on the inside and 1 on the outside of the palisade. The doctor in grey and I ran full speed for shelter, and the survivors would soon be back when they had left their muskets. At any moment the fire might recommence. The house was by this time somewhat cleared of smoke, and we saw at a glance the price we had paid for victory. Hunter lay beside his loophole, stunned. Joyce by his, shot through the head, never to move again. While right in the centre, Squire was supporting the captain, one as pale as the other. "The captain's wounded?" said Mr. Trollope. "Have they run?" asked Mr. Smollett. "All that could, you may be bound," returned the doctor. "But there's 5 of them that will never run again." "5!" cried the captain. "Come, that's better. 5 against 3 leaves us 4-9. That's better odds than we had at the starting. We were 7-19 then, or thought we were, and that was as bad to bear."